Life of love. Life of love. With Julie Hilsen.
Hello, dear friends, and welcome to Life of Love. We're here for another magical episode of bringing in the unknown, the quest for what's out there and what we can bring to our lives to make them more full, to give them more perspective. And I'm very honored to have this gentleman on my show here and to share his message with you, bring forth what we can create. His name is Indra Rinzler. And yes, thank you. That's part of my journey of compassion, is having grace for when I mispronounce words.
Beautiful. That's a wonderful teaching.
So thank you for affirming it. Oh my goodness. So he's an astrologer, a spiritual guide, an inspiration. He's here to answer life's questions. He's a world traveler who has also studied Vedic astrology. So just so much to share, so much depth to his soul journey. And that's what came to mind. He's like a journeyman. And I'm really happy to have him here to share his wisdom and just, rub off on us a little bit. Indra, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Julie. Wonderful to connect.
Yes. I'm just, like I said, I'm really excited, and I just want to get right into it because there's so much and we have a little bit of time here. I just wanted to explore with you the idea of the energies that we're going through. And, with your astrology background, there's a tendency to say, oh, well, Venus is in retrograde and this is why nothing's working out. And, you will look at our astrology and be like, oh, well, it's not really our fault. We can't really own that. But I wanted to explore with you the idea that the stars are there to connect us to our intergalactic heritage, to be there to make us feel good, and then to give us insight as to what we're going through. But I wanted to explore with you the idea that we're not a victim of our chart. We're not a victim of the planetary alignments, that they're there to affirm or support or, I wanted to explore the idea that the astrology is just there to give us breadcrumbs, and that, it's just to affirm that everything's a cycle. So I wanted you to expand a little bit more on what you found in your experience with astrology over these many years is how you use it to help people get through these cycles, because everything's just a season, right?
Absolutely. And thank you. This is a topic that's I feel close to is that. So I have this question I ask people, sort of this koan question is if your neighbor makes noise and it disturbs you, whose fault is it? So I'm asking you, if your neighbor makes noise and it disturbs you, whose fault is it?
Well, it's absolutely yours because it's your reaction to that noise.
Yes. So, right. But when you're young, when you're 50, in your teens or your 20s, it's really good to tell your neighbor, for you to stand up for yourself and to tell your neighbor, hey, you're making noise and I'm feeling disturbed. And there comes a point where you have to take responsibility for that yourself. And so all of the outside events, all of the Pluto squares and all of this, you say, all of the Venus is in retrograde and all of the circumstances take them causing us anything. We have to realize that they're there for our own for an opportunity for us to grow. And the reality of it is that not the worst one, whatever it is, Pluto square, for some people who have a strong Pluto, that isn't going to be an issue. It isn't the same. All of these positions that we read about and hear about are not the same for all of us. Some of them may be more difficult in that they express, and some of them may be less difficult and even not difficult at all. They may be even an enhancement for my own self. I have been in a Saturn period, and then I hit this thing called Saturn Sati, which is Saturn on your moon, which is like the worst. And like I had them both, and like it was the best time for me because there was so much Saturn that it's actually a time of great blessings because I was more focused and more that I couldn't look away, that I had to look at. And so it was a time of two situations that people would generalize and say were really difficult positions. For me, they were it was a setup that at this particular time in my life it was going to happen, and it was a very high state. So how people can gain from this wisdom, the what I have learned to do, 50 years of on the spiritual path, 50 years of studying astrology. What happened is that I realized that the pure positions of the planets, that the positions of the planets in our natal chart, what we call the dignity, that your Venus is in a happy sign or an unhappy sign for Venus. That to me is the most important thing because when we have a planet in a strong placement, then those particular issues don't affect us. And when we have in a weak position, then that is where life's work is. And what happens is that planets have high sides and they have low sides. And so on the high side, we're able to use the gifts of that planet, and on the low side we get triggered and we get angry, we get judgmental, we get blocked, we feel resistances, and those are our opportunities to work through those. And it's I don't want to say it sounds simple, but it's fairly simple that the work is in the week alignments, and they are our gifts. They are the work that we work on in this life. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it starts a dialogue.
Right. And to me, what comes to mind is a compass. It's like you look at your chart as a compass. Like it gives you.
I call it an X-ray. It's an X-ray of the. An X-ray of the. It's the the doctor puts an X-ray. It can see what your bone is doing, and so the astrology is an X-ray of the energies that are in your life. The good energies, well, they're neither good nor bad, but the strong energies that are our skills and strengths, and the weak energies, which are our challenges. And the soul doesn't care about any of it. It's all in the personality. It's all in our own small-mindedness and our limited thinking and our limited actions and in our fears. And that the angers come up, and they're all there, neither good nor bad. They're all there to just teach us, to learn.
Mm-hmm. It's magical to think that you have this little cheat sheet, and it's not little, it's the galaxy around us. Like the things that are the energy that's lining up there affects us here. And it makes you feel important, but it also makes you feel small at the same time because we're just this little part of energy, but we are affected by everything that's going on up there. And then everything that's going on here, like we're here to activate those weak parts in other people. And, sometimes that's a lot to carry. And I think that that's what we've been carrying for the last 3 years is people have been activated. People have been shooken awake, or they've gone into a deeper place. And those around them are like, okay, come with me because I don't want to leave you behind. There's so much to learn. There's so much to gain. So I'm just really happy to offer this perspective to my audience. And if it's hitting you at the right time, you might be interested in your chart more. You might say, hey, I've been struggling with something and I want a clue. I want an action step, right? Like to me, that's the biggest part of looking at my chart is saying, oh, that's why I can't make a decision because like you said, Saturn's or Jupiter's messing up my decision-making process in my chart. And it's not anyone else's fault. It's not that I'm distracted by my kids' activities. It's not that my husband is playing sports on the TV and I just want to listen to quiet. It's nothing. It's just, that's just my journey. I'm going to have a hard time making a decision anyway. So you can deflect it on other people, or you can own where you are and just have compassion. And that's sort of what I wanted to talk about with you was that compassion and having compassion for the journey that you're on, and and that helps you relate to other people, like your neighbor. Maybe that loud noise is there to alert you that something needs to be done for your neighbor. Like there's
Yes.
all kinds of things. So I love to play in this area of, we're in this big place together, and we're all just trying to figure out our soul mission and what we signed up to be here for.
Well, I've gotten to the place where I don't really think of it that it's either too big or too small, and I don't really make any decisions with my head. It's all with the gut. And if you can't make a decision, that's because you're too much in your head. And so the idea is that maybe no decision needs to be made, and maybe there isn't. It gets to a place where that there is no decision because everything is neutral and it doesn't really matter, because if we go left or we go right, we end up in the same place anyways eventually. And so the idea is to me is to let go of these ideas that something is wrong, that something needs to change, that I can't make a decision, that it's me, that it's about me, because it's not my wisdom and it's not my energy and it's not my strength. It's just strength with it's not my peace. If you feel peace, it's not my peace, it's just peace.
Mm.
I've learned to just buy into to adapt to the bigger world, to the world of where I am nothing. It's 24/7 surrender. I don't hold on to anything anymore. 24/7 surrender, and anything, and even holding on to the idea that I'm surrendering, I don't hold on to that either. I let go of that too. And so there becomes it becomes becomes a place. And I like to offer this up to people because while it may be a step or two ahead, the idea that it is nothing about that coming into your own power is just a stage, and it isn't your power, and it isn't coming into it. You just got all the spring cleaned whatever was in the way, and it was already there. And so on the other side is the freedom. You get to the freedom that I can do whatever I want. And then on the other side is that I don't need to do that. That's freedom, because needing to do something is not free. That is it looks free when you can't do anything, when you don't have you're not enough in yourself to be able to express what you feel. And then you get your power. Well, I'm in my power because I can do what I want, but that's attachment because I need to do what I want. And so the freedom is that if it happens or doesn't happen, it doesn't touch me. It isn't, I don't really care. I care about it, like your husband. I'm really happy to watch the game until I can't, and then I let go of it. And then it isn't even an issue, and then I don't even remember who wins at the end. So it takes our breath away how much, coming back to your show, how much love there is and how it is manifested in every moment by the divine, by existence itself, by nature itself. And it can be in getting, and it can be in not getting, and it can be in being and in not being, and doing and not doing. When they're equal, that's freedom, because anything before that doesn't have that's not free. That's attachment. It looks like it feels like it's free, and the media, the mainstream, whichever mainstream you're listening to, loves to talk about it that way, but it's still attachment, and it's still that I need it to be a certain way. And having it your way is a step up, but it is not. It is just a stage. It is not the final. It is not the final place, because the holy people that I've seen in India and the places that I've been in India and around the world, there's no discussion of right and wrong and can and can't. And we're always amazed because in the teacher's presence, the questions disappear. And those same questions disappear in holy places, in holy work, in holy thoughts, in holy, creativity. The questions disappear. There's no question of, are people going to like it? When you're really enjoying doing a piece of art, it's not about whether people will like it or not. Will they buy it or not? Doesn't matter. It's not an issue in that moment. And so all the questions disappear.
Mm. There's so much to unpack there. Oh my goodness. I heard you say, you can't hold on to a state. It's the idea you're coveting something, you're trying to maintain, and we don't own anything. It's a fluid come and go. We might get reassurances that we are on this path that is pleasing to us, but we also have to accept that with that there could be things that are less pleasing, and both are fully warranted and both are acceptable. I think that's what you're getting at, is our culture seems to want to label something good or bad, or positive or negative. It's just something you enjoy more, and if you didn't have the thing you didn't enjoy as much, then you wouldn't have the contrast to show you what you really like. I mean, if everything was 100% pleasurable all the time, we wouldn't even acknowledge this pleasure anymore, right? It's like everything
Absolutely.
is perfect.
And so what's the point of this duality? The point of it is, I like to say that if we're up in heaven, we're in the astral plane, and let's say that there is a god or a goddess or whatever, a mentor or somebody in charge, and they say to you, you need to let go of jealousy, and you're up in the astral plane and you're saying, I don't know what you're talking about. But when you're in the body and your ex-partner is walking away from you with holding the hand of your best friend, then you have a feeling of jealousy that you can't have any other way. And that's the teacher, that we come down here and we get into this density, and it isn't about learning how to avoid all of the unpleasantness. It's about having the neutrality and learning from the situations, whatever it is that we need to learn. Mm-hmm. And we can't learn it. This is not a Harana Loka, which is one of the higher planes. This place isn't that. This place is a penal colony, and it's here that the dense place, the denseness is here to be the teacher. And so we ignore the medicine, and we're not getting the cure. The difference between healing and curing. You can't heal the disease that's going to kill you, but you can't heal it, but you can cure it. You can be cured from it, so that it's not that you let go of its negativity or the negativity that you've gotten from it. And so yeah, I've come to a place of the middle path, of not needing it to be any different than it is. And I heard you ask somebody what drives you, and I was thinking about that, thinking maybe we'd go there. And I couldn't think of anything, because the driving isn't really what's happening anymore. It's not driving or not driving. It's just being in the middle. I get inspired, and maybe that drives me, but I don't have any particular goals. And I don't have any particular ungoals either. That it is that whatever is okay. And that's my work, is to be okay with whatever is, because it will change.
It's always changing, right?
Yeah, I don't have to worry about it changing. So it's going to change, whatever it is.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you, you said you don't make any decisions at all until you check with your gut.
I don't make any decisions in my head. I make it all with my gut. And if I have to sit there for 20 or 30 minutes or years, perhaps, like 20 or 30 minutes, I used to talk about it when I was traveling overseas and my work would get done early. And let's say I had a half a day or a day that I didn't plan. And so what do I want to do? Do I want to go down to the river? Do I want to go to take a nap? Do I want to go have a tea? Do I want to go to a museum? And so the head is spinning. And so the idea was, I learned to just sit there until it felt clear. And the clarity was not a mental process. The clarity was a gut process, an intuition where the mind quiets and then the intuition comes up. And then the idea is that the reality of it is that I could do any of them, but what I'd really like to do is I'd like to go, be in nature or go to the museum, and I'd like to do something along those lines. I'm not saying that was always the same way. It changes each time, but the process is the same of being open to being in the moment rather than trying to figure it out. Because the figuring it out, the in the moment, then there's satisfaction no matter what you do. And if you figure it out, then there's almost dissatisfaction no matter what you do. Because you always go greener pastures.
Because right. And to understand when you're placing an agenda, like that agenda makes your ego be attached to what your goal was, and then you're not seeing the gift in the moment because you put this template on what the experience should be. And so it's a really powerful thing to acknowledge when there's agenda. And like you said, when someone's asking for your decision and you're okay to sit with uncertainty, like that's a tough thing in these days. Everyone wants the answer. We can get on the internet and find answers like in 2.5 seconds, but
yes, right, absolutely.
Someone standing up to that and saying, well, I'm okay with not knowing. That is a ripple in, let's say, the matrix, right? Like it's okay to not know, and to keep that space. I think that's the most critical thing right now, is to hold space for things, because everything gets so compressed, and I feel it in my head. I'll feel like, oh, my thoughts are too close together. And that might be part of settling into your I am presence and just feeling your gut. Like, I'm okay. I'm breathing right now. And that's a great place to start, because you can get wrapped up into all kinds of agendas, right?
Well, absolutely. I like to say that 70-year-olds, when we sit with teachers in India every day, we're happy to say that we knew less than the day before. And I think what we're talking about is that we have less attachment to anything that we believed before. And so we say we know less. And we're content in that, because we don't need to be anything. We don't need to. There's no achievement that we're looking for. There is no achievement. It's just about being and not doing. And so the achieving is letting go, not taking on. And so at my age, we're very happy to know less, and to not have any needs, and to not have a direction. Does that mean that I don't do anything? Well, I do things, and I'm happy to do them, but I'm also happy if I don't do them. I'm not going to make my peace on whether there's noise or not coming from the neighbor. Going back to my analogy, the noise is within, and the dissatisfaction with the noise from without is from within. The dissatisfaction is within, even if the noise is without. And there's 30 years on the spiritual path, maybe quicker now, but maybe not 30 years, but being able to live that way takes a while. And about the special time, people say the last 3 years, and while these are intense times, I can tell you the late 60s weren't any less intense. And I'm not sure that there were any less intense times. I remember the late 70s with the prisoners taken in Iran or wherever it was, and the high inflation and the gas, and then we had the wars, the Bush war over there. I mean, there's been tension and unhappiness and doubt for the whole 50 years I've been in the spiritual path. And I go back to the people that started this, Madame Blavatsky going to India in the 1840s and 50s and bringing astrology back. You talk about astrology, bringing astrology back from India to the West in the 1840s and 50s, and starting the Theosophical Society in 1875 in New York. And 1875 is what, 150 years ago, and to them it was already intense, and there were already questions in the 20. You read books about the 20s and 30s and 40s where they were already questioning the Federal Reserve and the gold standard and all of the. I don't want to get into the
Yeah.
politics, but I mean all of these things were huge, and people could see. There was a story we heard in the ashram. I lived in an ashram for 20 years. We heard a story that in the 30s there was a man that knew that that war was coming, that a global war was coming, and so he went on a 2-year search to try to find the most safest place he could be in the planet, because he knew there was horrible stuff coming up. And I don't remember exactly where it was. It doesn't really matter, but it was like in the Pacific, like Guam or something, where the American and Japanese war raged, and so like there was no getting away from it, and knowing it's coming doesn't make you safe, and you can't really prepare for it. It just is what it is, and we heard stories that the masters had put in the ideas into Hitler's head to invade Russia so that he would fall and the world would be saved. And so we don't have to worry about these things. They're being taken care of. It. I don't want to say for us, because it's not for us, but the life goes on. I just finished a book about genes, and how the book is called The Selfish Gene, and how the genes go on. Our genes can go on and live for 1,000,000 years, long after the body is dead, and long after our songs are sung and our words are read. The genes are still out there pumping to keep life, to keep our life, quote unquote, our life alive. And so the point of what I'm trying to say is that I don't have a feeling I need to do. There isn't anything that I need to do except to be me. That it goes on. That the world will spin or not spin. It got here. It was here before I got here, and those younger than me could probably tell me that it will be on after I leave. And that's okay. I don't want to get stuck in any of that, because it's just a distraction to the work, which is to be in the moment, to feel love, not the
I was
love,
just
but
gonna
just love
I was just gonna say,
flowing through you, throwing through
you
us.
need like a fulcrum. You need a central point. To me, I mean, personally, and you just affirmed, it's love. It's knowing you're showing up with unconditional love for yourself and the divine beings around you, and then everything else falls into place. Everything else falls into place because you're centered in that love, and there's nothing else. So things are coming and going.
And so whatever comes up that keeps you from that, that's the work. That's what you need to work on.
Yes. And how powerful is that to say, I'm not feeling in love? Like, what's going on with you? Can I help you? Ooh, it's the goo. It just makes me so excited to know that you can just ask a question about, I'm not feeling in love. Hello. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Well, it doesn't have to be complicated, but it gets complicated because each moment is different. And so because we've given free will, that because we see it as so clearly this moment doesn't mean that in this moment it's as clear.
Right.
Or in this moment that it's as clear.
Yeah. So the huge message is to drop into your gut and to trust your gut in making decisions, and be okay with the uncertainty, be okay with the non-agenda. In fact, when the agenda is overlaying, that's a huge sign that you're not living in the moment of seeing everything that you can see, everything that you can learn from this moment, everything that you can absorb and enjoy in the moment. Like it goes both ways. Like, so that's a huge thing. In your years of experience, and you're studying in the temples in India, and to get to that place of quiet, to that knowingness inside your gut, is it a state of mind that you trained yourself to get to, or is there a little process you use, or how could someone who's just trying to quiet their mind? I mean, I love to give a practical tip, something that could start someone on a journey. I know it could be different for everybody, right?
So what I've come up with is a 4-step process that I call the 4 doorways to conscious living. And the first doorway is to learn to observe, that we need to get out of the movie of our life into the audience. We need to watch ourselves. We need to watch our thinking. We need to watch our behavior. We need to watch our thinking and behavior towards other people's thinking and behavior. And then the second doorway is to let go and release what doesn't serve us. And so I like to give this quote: letting go involves being aware of a feeling, letting it come up, staying with it, and letting it run its course without wanting to make it different or do anything about it. It means simply to let the feeling be there and to focus on letting out the energy behind it. When letting go, ignore all thoughts. And this is from the book called Letting Go by David Hawkins, who's someone that I've been working with the last number of years.
I love his work. I love the energetics of emotions. That just, ooh, I have a little video on my website about it, and it's just awesome. I'm so glad. Okay, we have 5 minutes left. So the third door. This is so good.
So the third doorway is to love yourself, and then the fourth doorway is to live in the moment. So if you're in the moment, then you will love yourself. So then how do I love myself? Well, you let go and release what doesn't serve you. And ice cream may serve you for a while, and smoking cigarettes may serve you for a while, and being a bitchy may serve you too. But when it doesn't, then let it go. And then how do we know what to let go and release? Is that we observe that every day, every moment will give us information on what we need to let go of. And so those are the 4 doorways to conscious living that I like to give people, and simple, perhaps effective.
Absolutely.
The process has been that 50 years ago I had a level of peace, and then 40 years ago I had more, and then 30 years ago, and then 20 years ago, and 10 years ago. It just keeps changing. It just keeps, you think you've reached an apex, and you haven't done the apex yet. You've only gone closer to the center, and then closer to the center, and closer to the center. And the peace comes when you're just happy wherever you're at, and not thinking that peace will be conditional when I reach a particular state, or a attitude, or a financial goal, or a marriage goal, or a number of children goal, or a outfit goal, or a TikTok goal. When we let all of those go and just be happy with right here, right now, then like the background, like your background on your screen, it goes out of focus. And everything is perfect as it is. And other people say, but you don't have what you need. And I say, well, whatever, I'm okay, but things are good right here, right now. I'm not saying that people say that to me, but I'm saying that if people say that, people will say that to themselves. And it's like, you'll never get happy if you're not happy where you're at. The goal, the challenge is to be complete in whatever is, not to complete the game. Because when we complete the game, then we just start again.
So good. It's so good. And I needed to hear this. Because I get, I have my book, and my publisher's like, you need this many reviews, and you got to do this and that. And I'm like, I'm so in the masculine production energy right now with all my to-do list. I'm like, let me out. I just want to go listen to the birds outside, I want to go for a hike. So it's so good.
Well, I was a publisher for a while, so I do understand, they're wanting that. But the reality of it is the reviews will come when the reviews come. And whether you do or don't doesn't seem to make any difference. I mean, it may at times, but then at other times it doesn't seem to make a difference. And so I don't want to fight the system. The system is to be. That's what all the teachers tell us, is to be. And so the physical plane never interested me that much. The physical plane, goals, the materialism, and I grew up in Manhattan, and I saw what fame and fortune did for people. So that was never my goal. I learned that very early in life, and I maybe came with it. I didn't. Maybe it's nothing I learned. Maybe I already came with it.
Right. It was just something that you didn't need to explore that. You didn't need to live in that because you're on another, I believe we're on a spiral, and we might slip down a little bit, but we'll never slip as low as our last lifetime. And we're just going to keep spiraling. And, every challenge is there. It's there for us and to work through us. Thank you so much for all this wisdom. And I just looked up and 111 showed on the timer. So that's the angels telling me, yay, they're clapping. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, I'm very happy to be with you today. Thank you for connecting and being willing.
Yeah, so I count this as a blessing.